It's your girl, Deya Direct. So excited to talk to you today. Got a hot topic I want to talk to you about. You're not ready for love but you can be. That's right. I want to share 5 ways to know if you're ready for love, okay? Because here's the thing. Even if you're independent, don't want to be bothered with nobody, you have the fabulous life, you can buy all the help that you need, there's a point in life where you realize that even though you've been living your life by theme songs, all my women independent, you got your own house, your own car, your own furs, your own stocks, your own bonds, your own employees, your own business, you a boss chick, you that chick, you bad, you all that, you a bad chick. I know you are, boo, you all of that, okay? And if you know anything like I do, you also know that you can have all of that and then some, and you can have more house than you even need, more cars, more stuff, more bags, more clothes, more money in the bank than you can even spend. But who wants to go on vacation alone? Who always wants to go on vacation with their girls? Who wants to live in a big old house by yourself? If you're in the sick bed and you can't go out and spend your money except to buy help to come and help you, who wants to have to always hire help to just bring you a glass of water, okay? Or some hot tea at night, or to put some Vicks on your child? Isn't it more fulfilling to know that somebody loves you and that they love you beyond your stuff? Because stuff can go away. Even the richest, most successful businesses have tanked, have gone into bankruptcy. And so if it can happen to businesses, it certainly can happen to individuals. What is more fulfilling than having a life partner, regardless of the state of the relationship, whether it's marriage or a partnership or a long-term relationship? Who doesn't want something as close as possible to unconditional love that's not based on your stuff and your things and your status, but to know that somebody loves you for you with no makeup on, no weave, no big fancy place to go to, no clothes on. They love your body. First of all, it's important that you love your own, but you understand what I'm saying. There's a point in life where, as independent as I have been, I have come to appreciate that it's not about being independent. We weren't built to be alone. We were built to love, and we were built to be interdependent, where 2 individual people with their own mind, their own way of thinking, their own fullness about who they are and what they bring to the table, 2 people come together to join together to partner, right? Which is a whole nother kind of partnership. It's a personal partnership to do life together, because you realize that together your life is better. You've come to realize that 1 can chase 1,000, but 2 can put 10,000 to flight, which is a scripture that's basically saying, yes, you can do it by yourself. Yes, you can do it well by yourself. But if you want to go to the next level, you need partnership. Even in business, there's only so much you can do alone. Eventually, you need either partners or you need people to work for you to help the business grow. And so here we are in this crazy world with all this crazy stuff going on. And you know what? Everybody else can be crazy. But if you gotta be in this crazy world, don't you want somebody who just got you and that you have to go through this life with, to make it a little bit better, that when your whole day goes wrong and the business that was doing really great and the employees who really loved you on that particular day where it doesn't go right and you don't like them and they don't like you and the business deal didn't come through, that you can come home and have somebody in your life on your side who makes it a little bit better, who understands you, who wants you, regardless of whatever else happens on the outside. We need to have an inside teammate. In some way, shape, or form, we need somebody on the inside that has our back. And we have God, and we know that. But if we can have a partner in the human form, it makes life better. If that sounds appealing to you, knowing that it's not going to be perfect because you're dealing with another human being, But if you think you're ready for love, if you want love, I want to give you 5 ways to get ready for love. One of the first things that can stand in the way of us getting the love that we really want and deserve is fear of intimacy. I want to talk to you about fear of intimacy because there are a lot of people who are already in relationships or who are preventing themselves from having fulfilling relationships because of their fear of intimacy, which basically means that you're afraid for somebody to get too close to you. You're afraid to let your guard down fully, to be seen fully, to be emotionally naked, to show your vulnerabilities and your imperfections, your fears, all of those things that really are hard to do, that may make you feel nervous or anxious about being fully seen by another individual, may be a fear of intimacy. So you think, well, that's just how they are and they're cold and they're mean. No. If that's you or if it's somebody that you love, a lot of times, and psychologists have proven, it's because of how this person has grown up. A lot of times they weren't nurtured when they were younger. They were the person who was the caretaker in dysfunctional relationships with their parents, or their parents did not reward vulnerability, and they were made to feel as if being vulnerable was weak. And so you've got to know where your stuff comes from, and you have to know how a person that you're engaged with, you want to know how they grew up. You want to know as much as possible about their family and their family philosophy so that you can see if you're equally yoked in that regard. And a lot of times things that we may take as rejection from that person is not about them rejecting you. They actually may be loving you, or you may be loving your person as much as you know how, but you're not comfortable actually letting your guard all the way down because it's never been rewarded in your life before. And so it doesn't feel safe to let your guard down. It doesn't feel like you're being strong or powerful. And so a lot of times people who have fear of intimacy are extremely successful and ambitious, and achievement is what made them feel loved. And it's what they got reinforcement for, and it's what they were praised for. And so they seek to constantly achieve because it feels like love to them. Also, people who have experienced trauma in their lives, especially as a child, whether it was molestation, rape, situations where barriers were crossed and people were violated emotionally and physically, it often makes it very difficult for them to be intimate because they're trying to protect themselves and they don't know how to let their guard down, because when they weren't able to control a situation, it overwhelmed them, it violated them, and so there's trauma there. And so a lot of times people have what is called relationship Ptsd, where you're so traumatized. You think about Ptsd as something that people in war or in the military experience, but you can experience post-traumatic stress disorder emotionally. And if you've been traumatized and had an immense amount of stress emotionally, it may be very difficult for you to have intimate, close, and vulnerable relationships. But I want to encourage you to experience intimacy, which is a long, cute way of saying intimacy. I want to encourage you to be afraid and do it anyway. And that doesn't mean you don't protect your heart. It doesn't mean you let your guards down with any and everybody. When you feel safe enough with yourself, where you trust yourself and your own judgment and your experience over time, patterns and proven behavior with people who care about you, that you test the waters. You allow yourself to let your guard down, and you allow people to see inside of you, understanding that even if people see your vulnerabilities, even if they know things about you that may be areas of weakness, areas of vulnerability that you've been afraid to be judged about, at the end of the day, when you become okay with your truth, there's only so far another person can go with exposing your vulnerabilities. When you embrace who you are, the high points and the low points, the areas that are strong, the areas that you're still working on, when you get okay with it, really it's only so far a person can go to use that against you, because you're positioning yourself to always be in a position of growth, and you're not ashamed of your truth because it's yours. And so if you find yourself feeling ashamed, that's really where the intimacy must first begin. Because if you're not okay with your truth, certainly nobody else will be. And even if they could be, you won't allow them to come but so close. So I want to encourage you to test relationships, with wisdom over time. And if you have somebody in your life who has shown up for you emotionally, I'm going to encourage you to let that wall down, so that you can allow somebody to love you as close to being unconditional as possible, so that you can have an interdependent relationship, and so that you can have a real partnership, understanding that it's not going to be easy or comfortable all the time. But if you think you're ready for love and you're not willing to be intimate and allow someone to experience intimacy with you, intimacy, you may not be ready for a relationship. But you can be if you start getting comfortable with your own truths, and if you start testing the waters and letting your guard down little by little. And if you go back to your why, if you go back to how did I grow up? How did I experience love? What are some of the reasons why I'm not comfortable with being intimate? What are some of those traumatic situations that I may have experienced that are preventing me from getting to my next level in an intimate relationship? When you get emotionally and physically naked in that way, and spiritually naked in that way, it's vulnerable and it's scary, but the growth that's on the other side is so amazing and beautiful, and it's so worth it when you give yourself a chance, when you take a chance on yourself to get what you want and need the most. And so if you need a life coach, or if you need to go see a counselor or your pastor, or really confide in a good friend, just start doing some of those things, journaling, writing it down, and really getting comfortable with what's going on with you and what's preventing you from getting intimate. And I encourage you to embrace the hard and uncomfortable moments so that you can go through it, but you can also come through it on the other side. The second thing, or another thing, that keeps us from experiencing love at a high level is fear of rejection. You don't want no. You feel that it's better to be safe and secure and to only embrace what you know and can control, which is also in the same family as fear of intimacy. You want to control every situation, and you want to position yourself to only get the results that you want. Hey, I get that. None of us want to feel rejected. And sometimes we're cool with taking those kind of risks in business or in a different part of our life, but we may not be as comfortable doing it emotionally. I'm just the opposite. I've been more apt to take the risk emotionally, but not always professionally. So we've all got our level of comfort where we try to avert risk as much as possible. But there's something about embracing the idea of risk and understanding that what you want more is more important than what you don't want. Like, you don't want things to stay the way they are. You don't want to be the person who never tries. You don't want to know what it's like to live without the person that you really want to have in your life. If you know that what you want on the other side is far more valuable than what you don't want, then I encourage you to embrace the idea that you could be rejected. But it's worth trying. Like, it's better to know that you tried and didn't succeed than to never try and not know if you could have succeeded. Because that's living. Life is about taking risks. It's about going for what's inside of you. You know, it's an old story or analogy, but it's still so true. And that you don't want to be the person, you know, Tommy, Keisha, Dia, Monica, Sam, whose tombstone says, you know, they could have been great. They could have experienced the love of their life. They could have experienced the career of their life and the thing that they really loved, but they never gave themselves a chance. And so what happens is sometimes it's not about other people rejecting you. Sometimes we reject ourselves because we're not sure if we're good enough. Hey, I've been there, and I still struggle with that in certain areas of my life where you know you have a vision, you know what you feel like you deserve, you know what you really want, you know the kind of life that you want to have and the kind of love that you want to have and the kind of career that you want to have and the kind of money that you want to have and the kind of connections with people you want to have. But that is, but do I deserve it? Am I good enough? What if it doesn't work out? What if they say no? What if I get embarrassed? What if nobody shows up? But what if they do? What if you tried? What if you gave it everything that you have? Hey, I don't know about you, but I'm encouraging myself right now. I hope this is encouraging you because I'm getting something out of this. Listen, every day that we've been given life, an opportunity to breathe is another opportunity to try again. And I know maybe when you've tried it in the past, it didn't work. But you know, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater, as the old folks said, because sometimes it's a timing thing. Sometimes it's what's going on with you. Sometimes it's your approach. Sometimes it's who you asked or when you asked or how you asked or when you engaged. Sometimes you weren't ready. Sometimes there was a lesson that you needed to learn. And then what happens is we get so traumatized by how something made us feel that didn't work out in the past that we begin to make blanket statements and decisions and approaches to an individual situation that had an individual lesson that was for us during that particular time in our life. But it doesn't mean it has to shape all of who you are. And if you're ever going to get past the insecurities that you have, if you're ever going to get past the trauma that you've experienced, if you're ever going to get past the heartbreak that you had, if you're ever going to get past what your mother and your father and your uncle and your cousin and your ex did or your friend did, if you're ever going to get past any of that, it's not about doing it when it's safe. It's about taking the risk on yourself and knowing that you deserve to go after it. You deserve to give yourself a chance for the thing that you said that you want. So I don't believe you. I don't even believe me that I really want it, that I really love it. I might love the idea of the thing. But the only way to know that you really want something, that you really deserve the benefits of what it is that you want, is to take a risk. And yeah, you can take a calculated risk. It doesn't mean that you don't use wisdom. No, you use the lessons that you've learned along the way and you leverage those lessons. You don't let what you've gone through or experienced be in vain. Because guess what? You're not even who you were when that thing happened before. But you're responding to life and love like you're that girl, you're that guy, you're that age with that kind of experience, and not even giving yourself credit for all the things you've learned since then. What about all the things you've learned about yourself, all the things you've learned about life, all the things you've learned about business, all the things you've learned about relationships, and even using some of those lessons in life, in business relationships, and understanding how certain principles work, whether it's a love relationship or a friendly relationship or a business relationship, like smiling and being nice and kind or caring about people or engaging people, it works regardless of if it's personal or professional or spiritual. Humans are still humans. There are certain principles that work regardless. And so use what you know and stop functioning from a place of lack and from a place of not being enough. Because if you don't know, don't expect anybody else to understand who you are and what you bring to the table. So you may not be ready for love if you're married to the fear of rejection, but you can be if you embrace risk. Another reason you may not be ready for love, but you can be, is if you have unrealistic expectations. Unrealistic expectations of another individual who is going to be your partner, or maybe your partner, or maybe your husband, or your wife, or even your friend. It might even just be your boss. You might love your job. You have to know who and what you're loving on the other side, okay? And you've also got to know who and what you're loving from the inside. Who are you? What are you bringing to the table when it comes to this relationship? Do you love yourself? Do you trust yourself? Are you consistent? Is your credit good? Do you have a clean house? Do you have an organized life? Are you consistent? Do you keep your own promises to yourself? Do you complete tasks? Are you a good friend? Can you enjoy your company alone when nobody else is around? Do you compliment yourself? Do you criticize yourself more than you compliment yourself? Are you loving and kind to yourself? Do you speak affirming words to yourself? Do you enjoy taking care of your body? Are you kind to your body? Do you eat foods? Do you drink things that affirm you, that build you up? Are you mentally and emotionally secure? Are you mentally, emotionally, and spiritually in tune and aligned with yourself? Do you bring any of those things to the table? How are you doing in those areas? Yeah. And you understand, sometimes I don't get this right, or sometimes I don't get that right, or sure, I could do better in this area. Well, I have an excuse or a reason. See, the reason why what had happened was, the reason why my situation is, see, you understand all this about you. And we have great reasons and excuses about why our stuff stinks. And we don't get it right all the time. Because, after all, we're just human until those times, of course, when we try to pretend like we're superhuman. And yet, we have unrealistic expectations of other human beings about who they are, how they have to be, what they better do, what they better not do, and they must fulfill all of these things on our list. Otherwise, they can't get a chance with us. And so they've got to be this, they've got to do that, and all these things. And if they do this or if they do that, then I can't be bothered because I need this and I need that, and I've got, okay, great. But do you have those same expectations of yourself? Or are you expecting another human being to also be superhuman and to make you happy? Well, unfortunately, human beings aren't equipped to make you happy. That's an inside job. They can enhance your happiness. They can enhance your quality of life. They can enhance your lifestyle. They can enhance, but they cannot be the core of anything. You will always be disappointed with your dude if you expect him to just get it and do it right.
We'll be back with more Super Power Her with your host, Deya Direct.
The Super Self-Care Power Summit is coming up on March 29th and 30th, where all things self-care is coming to Dallas. When I tell you we are doing it big with workshops and conversations and vendors, it's going to be off the chain, y'all. We've got workshops dealing with emotional, spiritual, and sexual healing. Oh, and guess what? I'm bringing the Man Whisperer series back. And the men who are coming, they are going to give you so much life, and they're going to show you what it takes to understand a man, okay? We got another panel dealing with saving Superwoman. Yeah, you, who's doing all these things to help everybody else. But who's taking care of you? And what happens when you don't do some self-care, Superwoman? And we got another panel coming up. This is going to be so good. It's called Life After Divorce, Life After a major health issue, life after having kids, life after you fill in the blanks, and how they've been able to overcome and get through so that they could realign and reignite their life. Plus, we're going to be talking about the inside and outside job of what's going on with your body, from the food we eat to the skin that we're in, to exercise and environment and stress and allergies, and how all these things are impacting our quality of health. Something I'm really excited about is the social media, celebrity, and well-being panel. I don't know about you, but sometimes, as much as I like social media, it really makes you question what's going on with your own life. And it can affect your esteem and how you make decisions or how you feel about yourself. And, well, it's just not healthy all the time. So we're going to talk about how to engage with social media from a well-being perspective. Plus, we're going to have all kinds of vendors and yoga and Zumba. And then if you want to be a VIP, you can come and get massages and facials and good old drink. You might even have a good prayer session, a career session, all kinds of stuff, y'all. It's going to be good. Please, make sure you go to deyadirect.net or you tune in anywhere that I am on social media at DEYA Direct and find out more about the Super Self-Care Power Summit. It's going to be off the chain. And stay tuned for more exciting announcements. Make sure you get your ticket at DEYAdirect.net.
Talking tools to reboot, realign, and reignite fire in your life. It's Superpower with Deya Direct.
Well, we've been living with ourselves all of our lives. So that means we should know more about what we like and don't like, and how we like it, and when we like it, and when we don't like it. And guess what? Sometimes we don't even know. Sometimes hormones or emotions or life circumstances come and it changes how we feel. We get exposed to something new and different and we decide we like that better. And so we're constantly changing, whether we acknowledge it or call it that or not. So with that in mind, and with the way that our minds work, I know the way my mind works, honey. Constantly going and changing and being exposed and disrupted by situations and circumstances, there is no way for somebody else to constantly get it right with me, because I don't always get it right with me. Do you? Do you? Like, do you always get it right? Do you always meet your own expectations? Do you always pass your own test? That's what I thought. So, love just means that when you partner with somebody, that we are also responsible for teaching them how to love us. We have to teach people, and it takes time for us to understand each other, because people are set in their ways, or they've already been exposed to something a certain kind of way. And so ideally, you want to find somebody that you have enough areas that you're compatible in, and you have a connection that compels you to want to be better for and with that person, that compels you to go the extra mile and to try and build and grow together, because you see that together life can be better, and that they have enough qualities that supersede you just doing things by yourself, whether that's a friendship, a loving familial friendship, or a loving romantic relationship. You like how you feel and life feels when you're together. But you have to be realistic about the expectations of how much another person will be able to make you happy. Because we're all trying to figure out life individually and collectively. So, you're not ready for love if you have these kinds of unrealistic expectations. But you can be if you're able to be more realistic and you use your emotional intelligence, which is understanding who you are and who other people are in real time, and you use the information that you know to make wise and realistic decisions that will help you to be more effective and to have realistic expectations. So, you can be ready for love, but you gotta be realistic about what you expect from yourself and others. The next and fourth reason why you may not be ready for love, but you can be, is if you're holding on to unforgiveness. Unforgiveness of yourself and unforgiveness of others. It might not even be the person that you're with, or you may not even have a person in your life right now, but you want one. But guess what? There's no room for anybody to enter in because of unforgiveness. And we talked about this in our last episode. But what happens with unforgiveness, to go a little deeper, is that it literally clogs up your heart space and your head space to the point that you're making decisions about people who are new in your life, but it's based on old experiences that you haven't released in your life. Unforgiveness keeps us in a state of protectiveness. It keeps us in a state of hardness, and it keeps the door of our heart closed. So you want love in your life intellectually, but emotionally you are not available because you have a fear of intimacy, you have a fear of rejection, you have a fear of being hurt again, and you have unforgiveness in your heart, and you have unrealistic expectations about what could happen, positive or negative, that you have to forgive, which is to release, which is to let go. I didn't say forget. I said forgive, like to remove it, right? To forgive it, right? To let it go, to release it, to not allow it to continue to have you. You have to forgive it so that you can give yourself what you really want. And I'm talking about not just forgiving, but to give yourself the room and space in your head and in your heart, the opportunity to experience new love and to receive what you really want in life. And by allowing other people and situations to still hold a place in your heart because of what they did, is to hurt yourself over and over again, and to allow that person to hurt you over and over again. So you're not forgiving them because they deserve it. That's not even your job to know what they deserve. At this point, it's your job to know what you deserve. And don't you deserve to be rid of that toxic feeling, person, experience in your life? Don't you deserve an opportunity to be free from that? Don't you want to be free from all that hurt and pain and bitterness and hardness? Don't you want to experience yourself? And don't you want other people to experience the true you, the real you, the fun you, the light you, the beautiful you, the loving you? Doesn't the love in your heart deserve a chance to be experienced and respected and trusted and honored? If you want unforgiveness to outweigh the beauty of forgiveness, then you may not be ready for love. But if you realize that you deserve more and you deserve to be free, forgive. And then you can be ready for love. And finally, you may not be ready for love if you're unwilling to work. But you can be. So this concept that love should just work out because you're you, this concept that you shouldn't have to change at all, this concept of, you shouldn't have to work or you shouldn't have to do anything to attract the love that you want, or once you find love, marriage, relationship, connection, friendship, you shouldn't have to work. Well, do you love your job? Do you love your dream? Do you love your career? Don't you have to work for all those things? Don't you have to keep working at it? Don't you have to keep reinventing yourself? Don't you have to keep learning? Don't you have to keep doing stuff in order for any of those things to work? So if you are lazy about love and the work that it takes, and you're unwilling to work, then you may not be ready for love. But you can be if you understand and appreciate that love is a muscle inside your soul and a manifestation in your relationship that has to constantly be worked out. You got to literally and constantly work out in the gym of life and reinvent and rework and retool and recommit and re-fall in love and retry and recommunicate and try new ways. Work out your fears of intimacy. You have to work through your fear of rejection. You have to reevaluate your unrealistic expectations, and you have to forgive yourself and others over and over and over again. Because sometimes love does hurt. Because the person that's closest to you, who is into you, who is experiencing intimacy with you, has a lot of power. But you also have a lot of power, because intimacy gives another person insight into who you really are, but it also gives them insight into who you're really not. And sometimes there are things that you have to work through. There are things that happen. There are things that are disappointing. And the closer you are to people, the more power they have to hurt you. It's true. But they also have the most power and ability to experience happiness with you and you with them. So you can't be lazy in love. You gotta be willing to work and then work again and then work some more and then work through it. And even if you're like, well, I don't feel like all that. I don't want to do all that. Okay, don't do it then. But anything that you want, anything that you do, even the job that you don't like, even the family members that you don't care for, and you don't like the things that they do, it's all still going to require work. A little bit. You got to do a little something to get a little something out of it, right? If you're not willing to work, you ain't ready for love, baby. But you can be if you are willing to get unstuck and to upgrade and level up your work. If you are willing to release being independent and stuck in your ways, and you're open to being interdependent and trying and putting the effort that's necessary to be effective and to win in love and life, then you might be ready for love. So, I'm your girl, your life coach, your man whisperer, Deya Direct, and these have been 5 ways to know if you're ready for love. And even if you're not, I hope now you feel like you can be. Listen, for more information on this, on my love class, or an individual coaching session, look me up at deyadirect.net. Make sure you continue to tap into your superpower to love again, which is the name of the course. I promise you it's life-changing. And you go to Deya Direct, Deya Direct, to learn about that, how to get in the course or how to connect with me directly. I want you to share this podcast with your friends and your family who you think need it. If it's made a difference at all in your life, please give us a comment and review on iTunes. It would make me so happy. I'm going to continue to give you my best, and I hope and pray that this message is helping you to live your best life. All right? Until the next time, this is the Super Power Podcast, where women of power, powerful stories, and the men that love us testify. We've got a big conference coming up. That's right. We've got the Super Self-Care Power Summit is coming up on March 29th and 30th, where all things self-care is coming to Dallas. When I tell you we are doing it big with workshops and conversations and vendors, it's going to be off the chain, y'all. We've got workshops dealing with emotional, spiritual, and sexual healing. Oh, and guess what? I'm bringing the Man Whisperer series back, ladies. And the men who are coming, they are going to give you so much life, and they're going to show you what it takes to understand a man, okay? We've got another panel dealing with saving Superwoman. Yeah, you, who's doing all these things to help everybody else, but who's taking care of you? And what happens when you don't do some self-care, Superwoman? And we got another panel coming up. This is going to be so good. It's called Life After Divorce, Life After a major health issue, Life After having kids, Life After ... You fill in the blanks. We're going to have some powerhouse people talk to you about life after loss or life after change in their life and how they've been able to overcome and get through so that they can reignite, so that they could realign and reignite their life again. Yeah, it's going to be good. Plus, we're going to be talking about the inside and outside job of what's going on with your body. From the food we eat, to the skin that we're in, to exercise and environment and stress and allergies and how all these things are impacting our quality of health. And then, something I'm really excited about is the social media, celebrity, and well-being panel. I don't know about you, but sometimes, as much as I like social media, it's not good for my health. And then sometimes, if I'm looking at celebrities or influencers and other people of influence who seem like they're living their best life, it really makes you question what's going on with your own life. And it can affect your esteem and how you make decisions or how you feel about yourself. And, well, it's just not healthy all the time. So we're going to talk about how to engage with social media from a well-being perspective. Plus, we're going to have all kinds of vendors and yoga and Zumba, and then if you want to be a VIP, you can come and get massages and facials and good old drink. You might even have a good prayer session, a career session, all kinds of stuff, y'all. It's going to be good. Please, make sure you go to deyadirect.net or you tune in anywhere that I am on social media at deyadirect.net and find out more about the Super Self-Care Power Summit. It's going to be off the chain. And stay tuned for more exciting announcements. It's going to be fire. So make sure you tune in and make sure you get your ticket at deyadirect.net.